In this video, we'll be talking about the U-2 incident from the Cold War.
On May 1st, 1960, an American U-2 spy plane was shot down by the USSR in their airspace.
This event happened at a point when the United States was trying to negotiate peaceful solutions to their problems with the Soviets and destroyed any good relations the countries had.
This document comes from a general in the U.S. military. In it, he is discussing the events of a meeting where they planned these overflights.
In his account, General Goodpaster mentions that one of President Eisenhower's largest fears in this is that he would lose effectiveness in the stage of world politics if one of their planes were shot down.
The USSR believed that the U.S. was solely interested in diplomatic solutions at that point, and to be caught spying would ruin Eisenhower's reputation of honesty.
Apparently, a man named General Hull mentioned that there was a limited period remaining in which these flights would be possible due to Soviet technological advancements.
It is not directly stated, but there is an implication that after that comment, the president asked about more advanced planes, seemingly in favor of continuing to spy.
The document also mentioned that, while frowned upon, the program had been highly successful, allowing the U.S. to save money and learn about the USSR's military strength.
Due to the government's fears of what would happen should a plane be caught while spying, immediately after they received word that a U-2 was shot down, a cover-up was put in place.
What they said had happened was, essentially, that the plane had left from Turkey and was collecting weather data and studying turbulence. This cover-up also suggested that the origin of the crash was some sort of oxygen failure, not Soviet weaponry, and that they received word from the pilot over an emergency channel.
To maintain this facade, the search and rescue operation was headed up from the military base that the plane was said to have launched from, as opposed to being led from one of the United States' own bases, which would associate the U.S. with the event further.
This document is a press release from the State Department with 3 major points.
The first of these is that the United States government recognizes one of Khrushchev's statements where he said that the U-2 had been in USSR territory, which the U.S. had previously denied, that the USSR had shot the plane down, and that the plane, they had determined, was American.
The second major topic of this statement is that, as they had said in a different, previous, unshown in this video press release, the plane had been unarmed and working for NASA. This part also says that the pilot was a civilian who, at the time, was still missing.
The third part is the United States requesting that the USSR keeps them informed on everything happening in their investigation into the incident, and when they learn it, what happened to the pilot.
The final source is much longer and more comprehensive than the others, but for good reason. This final source explains that for the entirety of his time in the office of the president, Eisenhower was using the National Security Act to fly spy missions over the USSR.
While we said that this was true at the very start of the video, to people living through it in the moment, it would have been a massive shock to learn about something like this that happened.
The majority of this source is the government justifying its methods and reasons, but it all seems to fall to an explanation along the lines of, we were scared, so we did this because they were hiding their information.
One of the final paragraphs is centered on what would be an upcoming peace treaty, saying that the USSR should take this as a sign of how intimidated everyone else was, and underscore the importance of peace.
So, for a quick recap, the US was spying on the USSR, knowing full well how bad it would be for them if they were found out.
The USSR shot down a spy plane and captured its pilot.
The US started to plan and to execute a cover-up for the shot-down plane, presuming the pilot dead.
The U.S. finds out that the pilot is alive, admits they'd been spying, and says that they only did it because of the USSR's power.
The U-2 incident was a terrible event, and one that is not well known considering its importance.
It shifted politics on a global scale and demonstrated that the government is often not as moral as they claim to be.